Hello and welcome to another Top 5 video. So this week's Top 5 revolves around John McGeoch. So if you're not familiar with John McGeoch, he is a Scottish musician and songwriter. Probably, as they say in the Wikipedia article, best known as being in both Magazine and Susie and the Banshees. But he's also played guitar in Public Image Limited and The Armoury Show, and contributed to a number of other tracks on various other albums. And we'll have a look in a moment, go through some of those. I've been a big fan of John McGeoch for a long time, and I thought it would be interesting to do a top 5 favourite tracks that he played guitar on. Obviously I'm going to simplify the title somewhat on the video. So just to scroll down here to give you some idea of his career. So probably the biggest band he was in to start with would have been Magazine. He did contribute to some of the Visage material on the first album, and this is something I didn't realise until I dug around in the Wikipedia article originally when I was looking at it, I think several years ago, and then I think it was repeated on some podcast I was listening to. But it appears that he recorded most of the guitar work on the album Kiss Me Deadly. Also, and if you can track this down, this is really interesting. So he actually guested with the Skids on a Peel session. It was a Peel session where Stuart Adamson, one of my favourite guitarists, from that point he was in Skids, but then ultimately he went on to form Big Country. But Stuart Adamson was unwell. So if you can track this down, this is a really interesting listen to hear John McGeoch standing in for Stuart Adamson, and I understand it at fairly short notice. And then he went on to join Susie and the Banshees and played on Kaleidoscope, Juju, and A Kiss in the Dream House. After that, he was in The Armoury Show. They only recorded one album, which I bought when it came out, and that was because I was aware that it had ex-Skids members in it, of which the aforementioned Stuart Adamson was a member, as we've seen, but also John McGeoch was involved. And I remember seeing them on the Tube TV show, which was a program on Channel 4 that went out on a Friday evening, and they had live bands playing in there and interviews and various other things. Very much music based program. And I remember them playing live and seeing, I think it was the first time I saw them and thought, hang on, I know that guy, when I saw the guitarist. And then he went on to be a member of Public Image Limited. He was on the albums Happy, 9 and That What Is Not. And then, as you can see, he also played with the Sugar Cubes. I hear him when people that have been influenced by or grew up around post-punk often cite him as an influence. As you can see here, I'm sure you can recognise quite a few illustrious names here who cite him as an influence. Johnny Marr and Radiohead, David Dave Navarro, John Frusciante, The Edge, Steve Albini, Mark Arm, James Dean Bradfield from the Manic Street Preachers, Mugwai, and so on. So pretty influential. So yeah, if you're not familiar with him, definitely check him out. If you're big fans of guitarists that play in alternative bands or post-punk. Now he sadly died in 2004, so of course he's no longer producing new music. I'm assuming that there's going to be probably the odd thing here and there that crops up of stuff he's recorded in the past. And you can see here listed his album contributions as a band member, and then he was a guest musician, as I said, on Kiss Me Deadly, and an album called The Impossible, on Pete Murphy's album Should the World Fall Apart, Should the World Fail to Fall Apart, and with the Sugar Cubes. And there is an biography, an authorised biography. I've not actually read that. I should get around to reading that. Well, looks like it's only just come out. So that will be really fascinating to read, I think. So I've picked 5 tracks that are definitely, the top 5 favourite. The problem with John McGeoch is he's done so much good stuff, it is difficult to pick it down to the top 5. So I've made sure that I've included at least one track from all of the major bands that he's been in. I didn't include anything from Visage. The track to check out on the Visage album is the track Tar, if you're interested. I believe he plays saxophone on that as well. So these are my picks for my top 5 favourite John McGeoch tracks where he played on. So the first one is from the album Real Life, and it's the track The Light Pours Out of Me. I'm going to include links in the description to I'm going to include YouTube links to these tracks so you can actually listen to them if you haven't heard them before, and I'm sure you can also track them down on Spotify if you have Spotify, but I just assume everybody's got YouTube if they're watching this video, so that's why I've gone with YouTube links. I did think about including Shot by Both Sides, but I was mindful of the fact that the track was originally written, or quite a lot of the guitar aspect of that was written by Pete Shelley from the Buzzcocks, because as you may or may not know, Howard Devoto was originally in the first lineup of the Buzzcocks and was on the Spiral Scratch EP, so no surprise that there's some tracks from that era when he was writing with Pete Shelley from the Buzzcocks would have filtered through onto a magazine album. So I've included The Light Pours Out of Me as my choice. Again, there's some Pete Shelley stuff on here, but there's some really interesting riffage on this track. Second pick is another magazine album, and the track is a song from Under the Floorboards. So another one worth checking out. I mean, really, probably the best thing to do is to go through all the albums listed on here. I don't think you'll find the Armory Show album, unfortunately, unless it's appeared. That's quite difficult to track down. I've got that on cassette somewhere. But yeah, if you just create this as a chronological playlist, it would be pretty cool. And then just insert these in as well. In fact, I should do that at some point. I probably have already. I've probably got, it's one of my many playlists which I've created and then don't currently have downloaded to my device. But yeah, so the next choice would be A Song from Under the Floorboards. So in the case of Susie and the Banshees, of course, again, sport for Joyce, I was going to pick Happy House, I think, but that's fairly early on from when he joined. So I wanted to pick slightly later album, which was Juju. So to me, this is when he was sort of fully integrated into the band. My understanding is that for Kaleidoscope, although he played on it, quite a lot of the songwriting, I believe, was done prior to the recording of the album. So, yes, I think in terms of his songwriting impact, Juju might be a better example. And for this, again, there's so many good tracks with excellent guitar work on it, but I've picked Spellbound for that one. Onto the Armory Show, and for that one I've gone for the track Waiting for the Floods from that one. But equally, tracks like Castles in Spain and Kyrie, great choices. And if you can track down the video on YouTube of them appearing on the Tube TV show, it's worthwhile. If I can find it as I'm putting this together easily, and I know it's been up there for a while and it's likely to stay there, I'll include it in the links, I think. I have a link just to the someone's uploaded the audio track onto YouTube, and that's the one I'm going to have in my links for that. So yeah, so check out Waiting for the Floods. And then finally something from Public Image Limited. Again, he played across 3 albums, so quite a lot of things to choose from here. I think I'm going to go with the track Seattle for that one as my favourite. So there's 5 of my favourite John McGeoch tracks that he played on. We've got from the Real Life album, we have The Light Pours Out of Me. From The Correct Use of Soap, we have A Song from Under the Floorboards. From Juju, we've got Spellbound. From Waiting for the Floods, we have the track Waiting for the Floods. And from Happy, we have Seattle. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will see you in the next video.